Broadcasting live. It's America's longest running talk show on computers. It's Computer America, bringing you the biggest names in technology with guest interviews, new products, and your emails. Listen live at computeramerica.com on any device around the world. Email the show at live@computeramerica.com or find us on social media. Be sure to check out our website for contests, giveaways, show notes, live video stream, podcasts, and more. You're listening to Computer America.
Hello and welcome to the Computer America Show. We are the nation's longest running, nationally syndicated radio talk show on computers and technology. Thank you for joining us, everyone. I hope you are having a fantastic day and you are ready for some Computer America, because we have a great show planned for you where in the second part of the program, we will be doing computer and technology news in any time that we have left. But the highlight of the show, if I do say so myself, is going to be the first segment where we have a guest. Yes, and today's guest is none other than Epson. I'm sure you've heard of them before. Everything about printers and scanners and all that kind of thing. Although today we are going to be focusing more on scanners. And if you haven't checked out what these things can do lately, then, hey, this is going to be perfect for you, because we have a gentleman here who is going to explain everything that is new, everything that is innovative, and, hey, maybe if you have a scanner and it's been working, chugging along for a number of years, maybe it's time to take a look at another one and just increase, just better capabilities, better specs, increase productivity, there's the word, all that good stuff. So everyone, tune in for, of course, Epson here in just a minute. But before I get started, I want to mention computeramerica.com. That's where you'll find everything, including a link to our guest website, any products that we talk about, any demonstration videos that we show, any articles that we mention, anything and everything will be included in the show notes, so that after the program, they'll be posted to our website, and you don't have to worry about, writing this down or trying to remember it. Don't worry, we have you covered. Also, be sure to check out the live video stream, which, of course, happens live, and some of the articles. We have some good reviews up and some new ones coming up here in the next week. We'll let you know. But all that being said, everyone, why don't we go ahead and bring on our guest who's waiting oh so patiently in the wings, and let's go ahead and get started. So, as I said before, Epson need no introduction. They've been on the show before. Very happy every time that they come on. And joining us is none other than Mr. David Hawks. He is the product manager for scanners for Epson, America. There we go. And Dave, thank you so much for coming on Computer America. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Our pleasure. And yeah, so obviously, Epson, great company, long history in both people's homes, and of course lots in people's workspaces and things like that. Why don't you go ahead and give us a brief rundown on Epson and their work in the scanner industry? If people maybe aren't, how long have they been making scanners?
Good question. I'm not even ready to answer that question. If I think back, we've been doing it for more than 15 years. But it's the last few years where we've made major strides in our product line and in the market. In general, we've got a number of award-winning scanners, but in the past, even like the past 6-8 months, we've just had a marked increase, in our market share. So in general, we come up with scanners that are designed for basically three markets. It's either document scanners, photo scanners, or receipt scanners, which is kind of a newer one for us. And each of those markets has grown significantly for us in the past few years. And each one has their own requirements and needs. So I'm sure we're going to get to that as we go on.
We definitely will. And of course, for everyone out there watching the video portion, we're going to be checking out the products as we mentioned them, just so people can, kind of see what we're talking about. Sorry to kind of trip you up on the first question. I'll try to do better. But I will say that I'm actually very interested, just real quick, about, you mentioned an increase in market share. Not really too concerned about the numbers in specifics, but I am interested as to why who are, and you mentioned photos, you mentioned receipts, and you mentioned kind of document scanners. I mean, who are scanners really, as Epson sees it, who are they really marketed towards? Are they for business owners? Are they for head of household? I mean, who should really be interested, or at least look into getting a scanner for for any reason?
Yeah, that's a great question. And it's kind of all the above in a lot of ways. There's the home user where there's, it can be a ton of documents or a lot of clutter or, a lot of receipts, that type of thing that they're going to organize for their taxes. So there's a scanner for that type of person. For someone that's a small business owner or maybe is, doing a small business out of their house, which there's a ton of those today, given the online economy. We have scanners for those as well. Move on to photos, and we talk to everyone that is, a photo enthusiast, all the way up to someone who's kind of at a professional level, depending on, which product it is. In our Perfection series, again, that's kind of our flatbed scanners and photos. That tends to be for the, the real hardcore, really into photography, that type of person. Mm-hmm. And again, all the way up to literally, someone who does this for a living, a professional. On our fast photo, that's way open to the market. We talked about that a few months ago, and fast photo appeals to everyone. It's funny. I just helped my mother-in-law move into a new house, and when you walk into her door, the front closet door you open, it's meant for coats and stuff, but when you open it up, it is literally filled with photo albums. Top to bottom, they're too deep, and so you can guess what I'm going to be doing over my 4th of July vacation, which is scanning stuff from my mother-in-law. But there's a huge opportunity out there for hard copy photos that need to be digitized.
Yeah, and sorry to jump in here just real quick, but I will say that obviously there's an aging population, and I will say that kind of the younger generation, they take all their photos obviously with their cameras. It's all digital. Getting a hard copy of a photo is actually the rarity, as opposed to having nothing but hard copies. But a lot of these memories, I think people nowadays enjoy the fact that you can share the photos, and having the photo albums, they're great. You go over to your parents' house and you can thumb through it yourself, but for a lot of people to enjoy them, it has to be in an album on Facebook, or it has to be stored somewhere in the cloud, and kind of digitized that way. So I think, and that's not to do your market research for you, but I think that's going to be a huge use case, like you mentioned. Just digitizing and making photo albums modern, I guess, is huge.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. If you think about it, when you used to walk into your parents' house, the first thing they had on a coffee table was a photo album. Mm-hmm. No one does that anymore. They just don't do it anymore. As you said, it's got to be modernized.
Right.
And taking your photos and putting them online, whether it's Facebook or whatever the application might be, is just a huge way to kind of share your history.
For sure.
There's a lot of it there.
Absolutely. So, but you're right. Anyone who wants to check that out, that's still available. iTunes, places like that, if you want a full rundown of the fast photo. But you mentioned that you have some other kind of newer products to, of course, talk about. And by the way, just to once again kind of highlight this, Epson announced that it was named the #1 selling scanner brand in North America. First of all, congratulations.
Thank you.
What do you think kind of contributes to that? Obviously we mentioned the fast photo. You have a lot of different markets that you have your fingers in. What makes Epson such a good seller of scanners? Is it quality? Is it price? Is it, obviously probably all of those? What is it?
In each of the segments we talked about, photo, doc scanners, and receipt scanners, we made a pretty significant investment in all three of those, especially in the past year and a half. You've seen a lot of new products that have come out in each of those areas. And as a result, we've done really, really well because we've hit the market at a time when people were looking for new solutions and new options available to them. We talked about photo scanners, but also document scanners. Mm-hmm. Last year, we introduced a new series of our scanners that all include our ScanSmart software. In each of those areas, that's software that comes with the scanner, There's no additional cost for that, no subscription cost, and it just makes the scanner really, really easy to use. I mean, half the battle is the software.
Yeah. Could you elaborate on what makes the software so important? Because I've been doing this for, even though I may look youthful, I've been doing this for a number of years. And I remember when OCR was, first coming onto the market, and I recall that, they said that OCR was really good. It had 96% accuracy, but then, kind of when you think about that accuracy, it's like almost 1 in like 20 words was misread. I'm hoping OCR has gotten better. Is the software that you're talking about strictly optical character recognition, or is it, organization? What kind of software is rolled in with the document scanners?
So you can have kind of all the above. You can have one that just literally takes the image, lets you store it somewhere, and then you can toss it and get it out of your file cabinets and get it out of your way, and then recall it when you need it. But when you get into our receipt scanners, that's a great example of OCR capability. And our receipt scanners is a segment that we just really started introducing a year ago, and it's really taken off. That market was hot a couple of years back. There was a company that was in it that went out of business, and then no one ever took their place. And we turned around and said, you know what, there's an opportunity there. And with today's OCR capabilities, you can dramatically reduce the amount of data entry and key entry that's required when you scan in receipts. So with our receipt software, which again is no subscription, comes with the product, it's called Accounting Edition. And in our receipts software, when you scan it in, it takes the company name, it takes the amount, you can break down the taxes, you can put it into different categories if you need to. And the thing we hang our hat on the most is the reliability and the accuracy of that. And we've actually received some awards recently because of that accuracy. So we're really, really happy with that. And on top of that, we tried to come out with a good assortment of product, one that allows you to hit, desktop type scanners, which are, the higher volume, higher speed requirements, down to the road warrior that needs one in their car and wants to scan the receipts as they come in. So we have, products for both those types of applications, both those types of needs.
Perfect. Let's if we would like to get more specific, let's focus on the document scanners first. We have the product page up, and we're looking at everything from the Workforce DS30 color portable scanner, which would be kind of your entry point, kind of scanner there at actually have it on sale for $80, but about 110. So start at kind of like the beginning of a document scanner. Who is this for? And then kind of work your way up as you see fit. We don't have to hit every single model, but kind of as you work your way up from the entry point, what do you get improvement wise?
Sure, I can work it into 3 groups.
Sure.
First we'll talk about our mobile group. Now, the DS30 was kind of entrant in that market, and that came out about 8 years ago. Very popular and did very, very well. Last year, we introduced its replacement, which is, if you look at the web page, you'll see right next to it is the ES50. And that's a little bit more expensive, but it's faster and it's lighter. I mean, to the point where that scanner weighs 10 ounces.
Wow.
Yeah, it's awesome. And it's powered by, just by the USB. You don't need to have a battery or anything like that. So it's really, really portable. You plug it into your computer and it's ready to work. Going on from that, we can go into a wireless version of that, the ES60W. So those products, again, those make up our mobile section. And again, if you are on the road a lot, in sales, or if you're real estate, perfect application for that. And the ES50 and the ES60W are doing so well right now that really they've far exceeded our expectations for that product line.
Very nice.
When you move up, now we move into what I call our portable section, and that's like the ES200 and the ES300WR. Now those 2 products are really, they're a little more bulky than the mobile. So, you may not be tossing them in your briefcase and taking them everywhere you go. But if you are someone that does real estate or you're an accountant that's going to people's homes and working with them, perfect for it. It scans both sides. The ES300W is wireless again, and it's very quick. Has an automatic document feed on it, so you can scan like 20 documents through there a minute. So it works out really, really well.
Sorry to step on you again, but just kind of looking through some of the features here, and this is something that I'm sure that Epson has been really working on, because you have to at this point in every segment of the technology industry, and that's a cloud option. That's the fact that you can scan stuff, but what good does it do if it's just sitting on your hard drive? You need to be able to upload it to your boss. You need to upload it to clients or something like that. You have, and mentioned here, plus online cloud storage accounts, PC Mac compatible. So does Epson have its own cloud option?
We don't really have our own cloud option because we don't really see the need for it.
Okay.
Because there are so many fantastic options that are already out there that
That's
are
true.
already popular. So if you're using Dropbox or something like that,
Right.
Go ahead, use it. So in our case, what we've tried to do is come up with a solid scanner, great support software that doesn't require subscription and things like that, and let's leave the areas where it's a strength to those companies that are out there already. Again, like I mentioned, Dropbox or
Right.
Whoever it might be, Evernote, that type of thing works great. We are very compatible with anything like that. It is not an issue to us. You tell us where you want it, and we'll make sure you can get it there.
I like that, and we have the same philosophy. A little while ago, we were a couple of years ago, we were wondering if we should make like a Computer America mobile app and stuff like that. I was like, I'd rather Computer America be on everyone else's app than we have our own app. So yeah, I completely understand the move and makes perfect sense. So, and again, that's we're on the webpage, or at least on the video portion, we're kind of looking at the Workforce ES300W, which is kind of the higher end of the current tier that we're looking at. And I'm guessing, again, as opposed to the ones that you kind of in your head kind of count it as the mobile, and this is kind of kind of the portable. Faster speeds, higher image quality. I mean, what does that increase in price really dictate?
At the end of the day, it comes down to productivity. When you start getting into any type of scanner and you see both the size and the bulk increase, 99 times out of 100, that's because you can do more with that scanner, either from a productivity standpoint, from a speed standpoint, or you want to scan two-sided, or you want to increase speed. All of those things require kind of a more robust design. And as a result, it tends to get a little bit bigger. So when you move into our desktop scanners, like our ES400 and 500W, those are, they're larger certainly than the portable, but at the same time, extremely popular products because they are designed for those people that have a lot of documentation. And the last thing you want in your office is to take up a lot of real estate with filing cabinets or looking for some stupid little receipt that you can't find that's worth, $200 to you and to submit for your taxes or for payment or something along those lines, The ES400 and 500W, I mean, you can scan everything from a small receipt up to something, 8.5 wide by, 6 feet long. It can do it.
And of course, and so let's go ahead and move on to the ES400, 500, like you mentioned. And these things are, of course, kind of your top of the line. Looks like you have one more, but that's you literally call that the accounting edition, which would be for accountants. And tax season may be just behind us, but obviously they would need a lot of those kinds of they would need a lot of those kinds of documents scanned. So these are for people who do this for a living, that, they manage documents. You go for the ES4 or 500?
Yeah, I would. Again, it's a question of how much do you have? Do you have a lot of stuff to do? Are you doing 6 or 8 piles of documents a day? You can imagine trying to do that with scanning one at a time. Much easier to just put it in a feeder. The ADF, the automatic document feed, can handle up to 50 pages. So it's awesome.
How And sorry
Yeah, go
to
ahead.
sorry to mention to ask this, but the automatic document feeder. I mean, sometimes you are working with documents; they come in lots of different paper and things like that. Just in your experience, how well does it work? Let's say if it's printer paper, receipt paper, some kind of form that people had to scribble on. I mean, does it handle different pages? Kind of well, just from page to page.
Yeah, it does. If you've got a lot of different types of, document types, as
Mm-hmm.
you mentioned, whether it's a receipt paper or, a thicker stock, that's not an issue. My suggestion, though, is when it comes to receipts,
Mm-hmm.
typically you'll get like a big bunch of receipts that all come in at once. And they tend to be smaller than your typical page-size documentation. I usually run those separately, just because it tends to feed better. It's not a question of the materials, it's more of a question of the size. And that feeds through really well when you do it that way.
Makes perfect sense. So, and to kind of swing back around to, this would probably take the place of like the lower end. I think the case is pretty well made for, kind of the mid range and the high range. But we have a question here about the benefits of using a dedicated scanner versus using a scanning app mobile device. I know that, kind of like when you use mobile banking and you can deposit a check from anywhere, you can censor, let's say, a receipt in your phone. You can use your phone camera to capture the image, but of course, it's left up to you then. That seems like it would, kind of compete for the sometimes scanners, but what would you say to people who, maybe why would they want a dedicated scanner?
Yeah, that is a great question. I'm glad you asked that.
Mm-hmm.
To me, they're apples and oranges. So I'm receipt product manager, scanner product manager, and I have on my phone an app to scan documents or scan receipts,
Mm-hmm.
because a lot of times I'll just get one receipt. Now I don't need to break out my scanner to scan in one receipt. That's not a problem. Where it becomes an issue is when you're on the road, or if you're just in one of those jobs where you get a ton of receipts, 10, 12 a day, not unusual. That's when a scanner starts to become a really great option for you for a couple of reasons. Number one, it's faster than using your phone. And if you're doing that many scans, you're probably using your phone.
Mm-hmm.
So using it as a scanner is perhaps not the best use of your technology. Use your scanner to scan receipts. Use your phone to make calls and make sales calls. That type of thing. But beyond that, we also handle it with very high resolution, and because it's a dedicated technology, we tend to get a much better image quality than you do if you were, again, using your phone. Your phone tends to be something that is a photograph, right? That's what the technology is that you're
Right.
using to scan a document. We scan our photographs with our scanners much, much different than we scan our documents. In documents, you're trying to get higher contrast. You're trying to pull up key information and make it extremely, extremely readable. In a photograph, you're trying to be able to capture everything, shadows, colors, everything. And that doesn't make for a particularly good document scanner. It's great for photo,
Mm-hmm.
because you want all that, but not great for a document because you don't. Right? You're not looking for that. It's a completely different way to scan it. So bottom line, it comes down to I'm looking for production, I'm looking for quality, I'm looking to store this information in data and not have to go back to it and, try to figure out, was that a 3 or was that an 8? I can't tell.
Yeah.
That's not what you're looking for, right?
Yeah.
You're looking for some accuracy.
Absolutely. And actually, speaking of the data that you are collecting, that's in my head where let's just say that I wanted to transition, since you mentioned your parents, my parents, if I wanted them to transition to, something like this, and trust me, those filing cabinets, they're taking up my real estate. She's keeping them in my office, so that's perfect. But I don't think that and she's nice, but I don't think that she's too capable of handling the data, sorting it and, kind of making it in a way that's usable. Does Epson help with that aspect of it, of at least organizing what it is that you do scan.
Yeah, you mentioned earlier like the software that comes with the products, and that's again half the battle. I mean, getting a good scan is part of it. Getting a decent OCR capability of your scanner, that's part of it. But also having software that's easy to use and very intuitive to make sure that now I've got this data, I've got this image. What the heck am I going to do with it that isn't going to take me all day? Mm-hmm. You know, the whole idea behind a scanner is to be able to take your document, you get it digitally as quick as possible, and you get it filed away as quickly as possible in a place where it's easy to find. That's the whole game right there. Okay, and that's the whole idea behind our software. We introduced ScanSmart last year, and the whole idea behind ScanSmart was from a home user and a retail perspective, people wanted, you know, very, very easy to use software. If you have a big company and you want to interface with, you know, a really, big accounting program,
yeah,
you know, something, you know, above and beyond that you would just buy online. Well, you know, we have software for that too from a commercial standpoint, but from a retail standpoint, from a home user or small business, they're looking for something a lot more simple than that. And that's exactly what ScanSmart does. It's logical in its use, it's effective in its scanning, and its accuracy. We offer it for document scanning, we offer it for receipt scanning, and those applications tend to be very different, by the way. And, you know, it's been exceedingly popular. And it's really, really done well, and we've had a lot of great feedback as a result.
Yeah, I can imagine that turning a filing cabinet worth of documents from, you know, something that may be filed in folders into just a giant folder with a long string of numbers, you know, like a lot of people's photos are saved, wouldn't be very helpful. So I'm happy to see that. And by the way, we have that up on the video portion. You know, you can see here where you can save it to Google Drive, Dropbox, you know, save it as a particular type of document. Yeah, like you said, a lot of work went into that, and I can see why. It's it's the other half of the battle. It's scanning it, like you said, and then it's about, hey, actually making it usable and exportable and that kind of thing. So it makes perfect sense. And by the way, I saw one more kind of accessory or feature that I was kind of curious about. It was like a network adapter that would allow you to share your scanner throughout a network. A scanner is a physical object. Could you explain kind of the use case for making a scanner, kind of accessible across the network?
Yeah. So typically, you know, in most retail applications that we're in, it's usually one-on-one, right? Someone has a scanner, and they hook it up to their PC or whatever it is that they're using,
right,
and they use it in that way. On occasion, we do get the more office environment where they turn around and say, you know what, I've got 3 desks right around me that all need the scanner. You know, and so that's exactly what that feature is for.
Okay.
It basically allows you to network that scanner so multiple people can use it. Not an application that comes around frequently, but it comes around often enough to we turn around and say, hey, if you want to do that, no problem. This is what you need.
I just found that interesting. So, and with that being said, Dave, we are like really running into the break here. So I'm going to go ahead and have last word. If people want to find out more, or if you'd like to direct them to anything, where can they get more information? Where should they go?
Yeah, hop on our Epson.com website, and you can find our scanners there. We break it down into those 3 groups I talked about, right? We have photo, we have document, and then we have receipt scanners. And I'll tell you what the differences between each one of them, and there's pictures of all, and give you an idea what the pricing and everything is there. The product is also available at a variety of our major retailers, both on shelf as well as online. So have a look there as well.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And Dave, I want to thank you so much for coming on the show. I know that we had a little bit of trouble, scheduling this and that kind of thing, but I want to thank you for sticking with it. A lot of great information. Always happy to have you on the program.
Always happy to come along. Hey, thanks for the opportunity. Really appreciate it.
Our pleasure, our pleasure. So Dave, until next time, have a great day. Happy 4th of July. And we'll catch you next time. Bye-bye.
Sounds great. Thanks, man.
All right. Bye-bye. All right, everyone, and there he goes. So obviously, we're going to go ahead and move into the commercial break, and when we come back, we're going to do computer and technology news, and that's brought to you by Computer America, where we have a ton of great stories. You can check them out, and everyone, once again, thank you so much to Epson, we just wrapped them up. If you missed any part of that, check out the podcast. Everyone, we'll be right back. Stay tuned. More Computer America right after this.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
800-215-4461. 800-215-4461. 800-215-4461. That's 800-215-4461.
We are all Brother Wolf. 10 years ago, a group of locals banded together to create positive change. We took animals into our homes, held adoption events at local retailers, and talked to the community about our mission to help build a no-kill Asheville. A decade later, we have achieved so many victories for animals in need. There's been so much progress, yet there's still so much to do. As part of our year-long celebration, we encourage you to become a member of our special Compassionate Circle program. With a monthly donation of $10 or more, you will have behind-the-scenes access to the work we are doing at Brother Wolf. Our goal is to reach 1,000 members because we receive no government funding. Working together, we can help build and sustain no-kill communities. Learn more at compassionatecircle.bwar.org. We are a 501c3 tax-deductible organization.
And welcome back to the Computer America Show. It is 32 minutes past the hour as we continue on here. And everyone, how you doing? Welcome back into the program. We are, of course, going to continue on with computer technology news. If you missed the first part of the show, first of all, welcome into the program. Second of all, Epson, great guest always, did a bunch of their scanners. I know that you're probably thinking photo scanners, but no, we focus on document and receipt scanners, something that everyone out there, you are definitely going to want to check out. And hey, if you want to hear about their photo scanners, we didn't just leave you high and dry. I think we had them on a couple of months ago. You can, of course, either Google it or we have it available on iTunes, Google Play, what have you. That would be our interview with actually the same guest, Dave. And yeah, we talked all about their fast photo and their photo scanners and things like that. So everyone, hey, check it out. And as I said to our guests, everyone out there, I hope you're having a great week and you are ready for 4th of July. Computer America, I should probably mention this. Computer America will not have a live show on the 4th of July. Oh my goodness, who knew? Turns out that the host is actually very skittish of fireworks. So he is just unable to perform due to the anxiety that is caused by fireworks. So, performance anxiety happens to everyone. It's nothing to be ashamed of. And yeah, so 4th of July, no live show. We'll do a best of. And in the meantime, everyone, we have live shows every other day this week. Everyone, hey. So let's go ahead and talk about computer technology news. Let's play the jingle and get started. Here we go. All right, everyone. So today on the program, I think the first story that we're going to do is actually, let's see. Let's go ahead and do this one. Intel, you know them. And although, let's see. I think something happened here once. There we go. Actually, I see what happened. So let's see. So let's see. And I believe, here we go. We can get it from WCCF Tech. If you haven't heard of the publication, we've pulled from them occasionally here and there, but check this one out. Intel to auction, get this, 6,500 wireless cellular assets, including 5G. That's right. Saying that after announcing its decision to exit the 5G modem business in April, Santa Clara chip giant Intel is now auctioning off its cellular portfolio. So if you were looking to scoop up, I don't know, a small patent related to the antenna technology that makes up maybe 4G, 3G, or even 5G, hey, you're in luck. You could go do that this weekend. They said that Intel missed the smartphone race during the early times of the industry, and since then, the company has struggled to bring its hardware on par with other companies such as Qualcomm. Now, in what might be a final blow to the company's 5G ambitions, Intel is putting up its wireless cellular portfolio for auction, and that's reports by IAM Media. And of course, some of the details are below here. If you're watching the video portion, we have it up there. But saying that it's a crucial time for wireless cellular connectivity in the tech world. Computing performance and manufacturing standards have finally reached the point at which it's possible for companies to pay serious attention to the Internet of Things. Essentially, what they're saying there is that getting things connected is easy now. Like you can, if you want to connect your toaster, or if you want to be a company that specializes in connected toasters, congratulations. That's really easy to do. Now it's to actually get them working well. And right when we've reached this moment, 5G is also making good progress, and these three elements combined, that's right, will push technology even further into everyday users' lives. At this crucial time, Intel's moving in the opposite direction as it finally looks to end its struggles with the smartphone and mobile industry, saying that today's report claims that Intel's auction offering consists of two portfolios. There's the cellular device and the connected device. If you know Intel, they have never really been all that much all that competitive in like the mobile market. Like Apple, I think for a while there was their big client. And recently, I think as recently as like the past generation or two, Apple has been using their own, I want to say it's like the X10 or X11 computing chip. Essentially, Apple's making their own processors, cell phone processors and antennas and things like that, and cut Intel out, which is really one of their only markets. Intel just doesn't seem to want to compete, and I'm not against this. Like, this is not so much throwing in the towel as in my head, as this is really saying there's no money to be made here. And that's just, in a lot of technology, that is the way of things, that everything is just so streamlined, everything's so efficient, the margins are so thin that it's really hard to compete even in an emergent field. Now, they said that the cellular device portfolio consists of 6,000, I know, you can't even name 6,000 parts of a cell phone, let alone 6,000 patents pertaining to the networking of cell phones. Now, 5G, 4G, 3G assets, and 1,700 assets related to the wireless implementation of technologies. The connected device portfolio is made up of 500 patents that cover a vast array of gadgets. It's also important to note that this auction does not mean that Intel is selling all of its wireless technology IP. Further, Intel's wireless IP auction covered today and the company's decision to sell its modem business are separate from each other. Really, it's they get into some of this, saying that Intel is anticipating non-binding applications. There you go. So the company is, I guess, they've done a lot of research. They have the patents. They have this thing to sell. They're just not interested in doing it anymore. So Intel getting out of the game, they could be chasing more patents. They could be chasing that technology and trying to get at the head of it. But when you compete against the likes of Qualcomm and other chip makers, hey, maybe it's just not a market that Intel wants to be in. So this is not their processors. This is not anything like that. This is their modem business, and this is their wireless communication business. It's cellular business. So there you go. Patents means that just less to draw on when you are actually trying to make workable products. So check that out. Okay, so there's that story. Very, very interesting. I don't really want to read too much further into that. I think Intel's doing just fine, and that is just the way of it. Now, let's go ahead and talk about, and everyone's just going through all these different stories. How about we talk about, I have one. I know this. Fake noise. No, not fake news, fake noise. Fake noise is something that I had heard about before, and I guess this has something to do with, obviously, with Europe and electric cars. Saying that all new models of electric cars sold in Europe, or at least the European Union, must now make artificial noise under certain conditions. That's right. Saying that the Acoustic Vehicle Alert System, or AVAS, will need to be installed in new models of hybrid and electric cars introduced from today onward and all existing models by July 2021. That's right. Cars have gotten to the point where they are so quiet, yes, we need to artificially make some noise. Now, with an AVAS installed, vehicles will need to make a sound while traveling under 12 miles an hour or while reversing. I don't know how effective the assassination attempts have been by trying to mosey over someone as they go 12 miles an hour in their Prius, but or at least whatever electric car is being sold. But yeah, I guess people were inadvertently hitting people, and I can imagine kids and neighborhoods and things like that, where this could, if you're not paying attention, this could definitely be a problem. I mean, the person who is not paying attention and could potentially be hit by the car. With a combustion car, you're pretty likely to hear those cars. But hey, as the article says, electric vehicles can be a lot quieter than their gas-powered counterparts, saying that the lack of noise means that they pose a danger to road users, especially people who are blind or partially sighted. Please don't hit blind people. That is bad. Blind people deserve to walk. Now, they said that the charity Guide Dogs pointed to research that says that electric and hybrid vehicles are 40% more likely to be involved in an accident, which causes injury to a pedestrian. Although I find this very curious, because the only time that this fake noise would turn on would be if the car is traveling under 12 miles an hour, which is not very fast, or it's reversing, which I can see that one. I guess people backing up in grocery stores and things like that, you could definitely hit people, and that is a problem. But going 12 miles an hour, like I don't know how much the fake noise is going to stop the forward hitting, but maybe the backup hitting. Different manufacturers will be able to decide exactly what their AVAS will sound like, but the EU's legislation says that the sound should be similar to and not louder than a traditional combustion engine. And I think the reason for that is that they could have it play, insert your favorite silly song here. They could have it play a song when it's under 12 miles an hour, or they could say, a beep that maybe is kind of like a forklift beep or something like that. You could have it sound like anything you wanted because it would just be a sound clip that would be loaded into the computer. But I think the reason that they want it to sound like a vehicle, like a traditional combustion engine, is that for blind people, hard of hearing, hard of sight people, or I should just say, vision impaired individuals, if they can hear the car at least, and it sounds like a traditional combustion engine, then they're going to be much more likely to know how to respond to that noise getting closer or getting further. They don't have to wonder, why is that music playing? What is that music? What do I do? No, if it sounds just like a regular car, if it sounds just like a combustion engine, then everyone immediately recognizes that's a car. I need to watch myself so I don't get hit. And they even mentioned that Jaguar has already revealed that its I-Pace will sound like has already announced what it will sound like, and Nissan announced a concept vehicle back in 2017 that sings as it drives. But I think most cars with the system, the AVAS, they're going to have a system that is similar to what a combustion engine car would sound like. You know, they're not trying to get fancy with it. So the EU isn't the only regulator that is announcing or trying to introduce fake noise rules into electric vehicles. In the US, the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration will require that all hybrid vehicles emit artificial noise by September 2020. And although they have to emit the sounds up to a slightly faster speeds of up to 18 miles an hour, and not just the 10 or 12 mandated by the European Union. So there you go. There may be a very set amount of electric cars that are going to be grandfathered in that, hey, maybe electric cars sold in the past 10 years, they won't make artificial noise, but most of the cars moving forward will. And there you go. So that's your window of getting your new car. Although I'm not really against fake noise. I mean, for the person inside the cabin, I doubt there's going to be all that much difference between, fake noise and non-fake noise. So there you go. Okay, there's that article. Let's go ahead and continue on. We're doing computer and technology news. If you're just tuning in, we had Epson on the program in the first part of the show, and we are going to go ahead and move on to this one. So we talked about this on Friday, and it was huge news. This is going to be a very interesting kind of take as the fallout happens. But Johnny Ive, he is of course the designer behind Apple. Apple and Johnny Ive and Steve Jobs, of course, worked very closely together to design a lot of the products that were very innovative, and Johnny Ive was a huge part of that. Now, a little bit of fallout from that, a little bit of follow-up, saying that he reportedly felt that Tim Cook wasn't interested in design. But to be clear, Tim Cook and Johnny Ive, they will still be working together. It's just Johnny Ive has split apart and formed his own company that is now working for Apple instead of being directly working under Apple. So they'll be working with instead of under. But we continue on, saying that citing multiple unnamed sources, the reports stated that Ive was dispirited by Tim Cook's lack of interest in design, especially considering the close synergy he shared with the former CEO, Steve Jobs. At the same time, Ive was coming into Apple's offices much less often than before, straining the cohesion central to product development. And what that means is that, Johnny Ive and Steve Jobs, as we mentioned on Friday, they worked very closely. Steve Jobs was always in the research lab, kind of tinkering with things, looking at things, asking why things were this way instead of that way. He would famously, completely discontinue entire projects and have people start over if it wasn't going where he liked. Essentially, he was very hands-on, and Johnny Ive thrived with that. Tim Cook is very much, he's been with the company for a long time, but he's the supply chain guy. He's not the design guy. He's not the hardware guy. He's not, to some extent, he's not really the tech guy. He is the guy to get everything to run efficiently and make sure everything is working together, but is not hands-on himself. That seems to be what happened. Now, I've reportedly started showing up at Apple's offices less often with the release of the Apple Watch. Rather than an iPhone peripheral, I've saw that as a fashion accessory, clashing with Apple executives over how to position it. The resulting device, a $350, sold only 10 million units, which was a quarter of the forecast, while thousands of copies of the $17,000 gold version went unsold. Who knew? Who knew the $17,000 gold version of the Apple Watch would go unsold? Who knew? there you go. So much like many Apple fans, I was supposedly frustrated with the changing company culture from one established by he and Jobs, where design ruled. He was not only disappointed by the fact that Tim Cook showed little interest in product development process, but also that Apple's board was increasingly filled with directors that had no experience in Apple's business. Like I said, there's a shift here. Apple is going from a design tech-oriented company to a marketing productivity type company, and you can see that with their recent transition to services over really any kind of hardware innovation or design innovation like that. Now they have Apple Music, Apple Movies, Apple TV, Apple. Services are the answer to this, as Tim Cook sees it. Now, saying that now his new design firm, Love From, will reportedly be paid millions of dollars a year to continue work with Apple. That could give Ive the best of both worlds, only working on the stuff that he wants for Apple without having to deal with the internal politics. Like I said before, Ives is still working with Apple. He's just not working for Apple. And who knows, he's right, this could be exactly what Johnny Ives needs to continue to innovate for Tim Cook. This could be a really good thing, so I'm not really worried about it at all. Let's go ahead and continue on here. So let's talk about looking through some of the other articles here. Global warming, that's always a fun one. How about we talk about... Okay. How about this one? OnePlus. They make cell phones. If you haven't heard of them, they make actually very good cell phones. They're a bit on the more budget conscious side. They're in the $300 to $500 range, as opposed to the ridiculous higher flagship phones, which have gotten anywhere up to like $1,500. But they're still very good phones. Now, owners of OnePlus 7 Pro phones have randomly received several weird notifications causing consternation and concern about security. And they even have an image here. If you're watching the video portion, we have an image of what one of these looks like. These are weird. Saying that the two alerts, which showed up on phones on Monday morning, were strings of Chinese characters and random letters, and of course, as first reported by The Verge. When users tapped on the notification, the phone would receive an error message saying browser not found. Obviously, an address was a bad address. Now, many OnePlus 7 Pro owners took to Twitter to question the strange notifications and whether they represented a security issue. Because you can imagine when you see something that reads HBGCHJGVCHJG, end quote, by the way, when you see something like that, you get concerned that OnePlus, the company, has unfortunately been hacked, and people are in there trying to utilize the operating system itself to get people to click on links and compromise their data. That was people's first reactions, which is very, very justified. OnePlus confirmed the issue in a tweet and insisted that it was not a security breach, but an accident caused by internal testing, saying during an internal test, our Oxygen OS team accidentally sent out a global push notification to some OnePlus 7 Pro owners. A global push notification. Pretty weird. Now, they said that we would like to apologize for any difficulties and assure you that our team is currently investigating the error. Essentially, why was something that was clearly a test? Like, this honestly looks like, and I'm kind of holding my fingers here. This honestly looks like someone slammed on their keyboard and just, had to fill out the areas, the title and the message. They just slammed on their keyboard. That's really all it was. And then they sent it out live. Like, they weren't working in a test environment, they were working in a live environment. So there's no further details as to what caused the error, but users can rest assured it was nothing but a minor mistake. Pretty funny though. Let's talk about Brave real quick. If you haven't heard about Brave, it's a web browser. And it's completely dedicated to, think of it, like the opposite of Google, where Brave is all about tracking blocking, ad blocking. It's all about privacy, security. That's what Brave is trying to market itself as, and it's getting better. I mean, people are more and more, starting to notice it. Now, Google recently, let's go ahead and put this up on the screen so people can look. But yeah, Google recently unveiled Manifest v3, a new suite of proposed Chromium browser changes that would make it a lot harder to block ads. Now, the third-party browser Brave, which uses Chromium technology, has essentially defied Google by unveiling extremely rapid ad blocking tech that's much, much faster than before, but without the Manifest v3 limitations. You can see why a company such as Google, who is an advertising company, would be very apt to have ads load and make sure that they load every time. Nowadays, a large number of browsers, including Opera, Brave, and even Microsoft Edge, run on Google's Chromium engine, and as such, Google gets to dictate terms and launch the Manifest v3 proposal. That would help speed up browsing by blocking an API called Web Request, but would also have the effect of making most third-party ad blockers unusable, which would be bad. That in turn would have a positive effect on Google's ad business. Brave, who, by the way, along with Opera and Vivaldi, and by the way, Opera, we need to get them back on the show. They're always fun to talk to. But they declared that it would stick with the web request and defiance of Google so that its own ad blocker would continue to work. In order to address the concerns about speed, it decided to rebuild its ad blocker with the aim of making it more efficient using Mozilla's Rust language instead of C++. And I think this is the cool part. Sorry about that. This is the cool part. By using Rust instead of C++, this thing is super, super quick, and we're going to get into just how quick here. They said that taking inspiration from popular ad blockers Ghostery and uBlock Origin, Brave rebuilt its algorithms and boosted speed by up to 69 times. Yes, that many times, almost 70 times as fast. That in turn reduced request clarification times down to 5.6 microseconds, which is a millionth of a second. So not even milliseconds, we're talking microseconds, saying that although most users are unlikely to notice much of a difference in cutting the ad blocker overhead, the 69 time reduction in overhead means that the device CPU has more time to perform other functions, essentially meaning your browser, even if you don't really notice anything on your end, your computer will run more efficiently. And so you won't notice ads blocking, won't be getting blocked any faster. But maybe you'll notice that your computer runs a little bit better while you are using a browser. So that's good. That's great. And that's something that Brave has been doing. So if you want to check that out, you can go download Brave and things like that. But hey, we'll include a link to that in the show notes as well. We are just about done. I'm trying to see if there's anything else that... how about this? This one's weird. We're not going to be able to really capture all this because this seems like something that's very complicated, and you can see an image of it here. Steve Dent over at Engadget. Check this out. Scientists captured 4D atomic movement in breakthrough experiment, saying the observations contradict long-held theories on how elements melt and freeze. That's right. So a team at Berkeley Labs' latest 3D electron microscope used a 3D electron microscope to examine iron-platinum alloy sliced into nanoparticles, which is about 1/10,000th the width of a human hair. Those were heated to 968 degrees, pretty warm, causing them to pass from one solid state to another. 3D images were grabbed at 9, 16, and 26 minutes after heating, while the sample was rotated in the microscope, saying that they used special algorithms and tracked the same 33 nuclei in just 13 atoms wide, located a single nanoparticle. Saying, and as expected, they allowed the change slightly random states, but long story short, they said that the scientists noted that the nuclei formed irregular shapes rather than the perfectly round ones predicted by long existing theories. And furthermore, rather than having sharp borders as expected, the arrangements of atoms were more jumbled near the surface. So essentially, once you can image something, you can start to think about how to control it. And hey, there's a new area to look into when it comes to science. So very, very cool. And that's about all the time we have. I'm sorry I did not really explain that last one too well, but I tried my best, everyone. And hey, I tried my best on today's show. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Epson, great guest as always. Please go back and check that out if you haven't been able to go back and check that out. But in the meantime, everyone, thank you so much for tuning in. And in the meantime, more Computer America tomorrow on the program, 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern. And as always, we'll catch you next time. One last time, no live show, 4th of July. Mark your calendars. We'll be back Friday. Everyone, catch you then. Bye-bye. Thank you so much.